Today we want to talk about dealing with grief, as I had earlier told you. So how exactly do you go through the stages? What are the signs to look out for? How do you help someone who's going through grief? These are some of the questions that we're going to answer today. And if you have any question that you'd like us to talk about, talk to us at 1254 channel using the hashtag Why in the Morning. So the guest joining us is a counselor. She's not new here. She's called Zipporah Wanyeki. Karibu sana, Zipporah.
Asante sana.
Glad to have you back.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Long time.
It's been a while.
Yeah. But we are good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Thank God.
Glad to see you. So, we want to talk about grief. So, what is grief really?
Thank you, Stephanie. The simplest terminology we can use to describe grief, it is intense sorrow that is caused or that is felt by anyone who is mourning, who has been left by a beloved one. So that feeling of intense sorrow, that hollowness, that emptiness, that, sadness is what we call grief.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's the intense sorrow caused by the loss of a loved one. And is it only loss by death that causes grief?
Oh no, when we are defining grief, I want you to know that loss is not just loss of life. It can be loss of property. You had a very nice building and then all of a sudden it collapsed. You're seeing buildings collapsing all over, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is loss. And those people are going to mourn just the normal way other people mourn.
Okay.
It can be loss of status. Probably maybe you were married and then the husband asked for divorce, or the wife. So you've lost your status. Maybe in a job you are demoted. It's loss. You will mourn. Maybe loss of something like what? Relationship, a friend, loss of a pet. In the Western, people mourn the pets.
So
when you imagine our own, you don't mind about the dogs moving. They mourn their pets.
Wow.
Yeah, so that is loss. So loss can be in many forms, Yeah, not just loss of life, but maybe today we want to deal with probably loss of life.
Yes,
You've seen people have lost life all over here, isn't it?
Yeah.
You had stories in Mombasa and everything. And by the time those people come to fathom what is happening in their lives, they realize that they are stuck. And I want you to know that when we shall be dealing with that later, depending on how well you're supported, you can move on or you can get stuck.
Okay.
Yeah, so loss is something that people should not joke with. And people should not come and tell you, umelia sana. Stephanie, si muache apumzike. Kenyans, we do things innocently and we want to help in all ways possible. But your helping is in the wrong way.
Worsening the situation.
Worsening the situation. When you go to bury and you're comforting the mourning people and you're telling them, wacha apumzike, is in a better place. None of those statements will sink to anyone who is mourning.
Okay.
Telling them that it is well, oh, wacha apumzike, after all, he was an old man. That's very wrong. Yeah, so loss is loss.
Okay.
And we mourn it the proper way. And let me tell you, you better mourn your loss.
Why is it important to mourn? There's a difference between mourning and grieving.
Okay, more or less the same, because when we use the word grief, we are attaching emotions to it. Mourning is the whole process. Now, people who do not mourn, what they do, they pile those emotions. They pile them. At the back of your subconscious, that is where your memories, the good ones and the bad ones, are piled. When you don't mourn a loved one, these are the people who have the most difficult time healing. They don't believe. And that is why you have, I think you've been to the burial, maybe of a close person, and you realize that at the morgue, they will come and as difficult as it is, they allow the family members to be the ones, to lock the coffin, drive the last nail, and you wonder, why are they torturing them? Why must you insist that they be the ones to throw the soil? It's very important. Very important.
Okay.
It is making them, it is the beginning of their healing. And it is bringing the closure. It is the beginning of bringing, this person will know, after all, tuliweka huyu mtu Lang'ata. So I am not waiting for this person to come back to us. Otherwise, if somebody dies and is buried and you're not involved in the whole process, at the back of your mind, you will keep on imagining that they are coming back to you. Therefore, you don't move on.
Okay, so mourning is key.
It is key.
your recovery
Very
process.
important.
And for someone who's maybe can't mourn, or I don't know if there's a standard on how mourning should be done. You know, you've mentioned the throwing of the soil, you know, but someone who's sometimes your loved one dies, but you're somewhere very far, let's say in the US, and you can't travel to Kenya that time. So how will you mourn?
Oh, there are different ways of mourning, because nowadays I see with the social media era, everything is online, isn't it? So you realize that even during that burial process, it was live. There was live streaming, so you were able to see even while you went there. They can even make for you a very nice video. They view the body. You are part of the whole process. The only difference between you and us is that we are physically here and you are away, but you are part of the whole process. You are part of the whole process. You viewed the body as they were viewing, but online. You did everything. Okay, it's not the best way possible, but still it has made you believe that this person is indeed gone. Yeah, so you part and parcel of everything. And even long after that, I'll come and discuss the coping strategies of this person who has been left, because they are, you just have to, you know, mourning, you have to be patient with yourself. And I always tell people, Stephanie, mourn your way. Mourn your style. If your style of mourning is rolling on the ground and you know, doing all those things, do them. The only thing tutafanya ni kuhakikisha you don't hurt yourself. But mourn, cry. You know, I was listening to your former debate saying these things have been touched, the eyebrows and the whatnot. I'm sure you've been to these funerals, and you realize that people have really, you know, tons of makeups on them, and I have nothing against it. I also do makeup, and so because you do not want to destroy them, you're mourning and you're having your handkerchief with you. And you're doing like this, oh my God.
Making sure you don't hurt, you don't
that's not mourning, that's pretense. Wow. That's hypocrisy. I call it hypocrisy. There's no way you'll be mourning your mother or your father or your child or your husband or wife for that matter, and you're carrying this kind of handkerchief to make sure if you still careful that your eyebrows will come out. You're not mourning. You are not. Mourn your wewe lia mpaka watu waone umelia. Hata ile kilio mpaka yenye utoi machozi. Yeah, that is mourning.
All right. And for the people that are usually very protective of letting out, you know, showing their emotions to others, how do they mourn? Or should they be vulnerable at that time? Because there are people who naturally can't be vulnerable to others. Yes,
I began by telling you, mourn your own style. You see, our African culture, you agree with me that we are patriarchal. Patriarchal society is whereby men dominate. And as this child is growing up, you keep on telling them, wanaume huwa hawali wewe. So this boy grows up knowing that you are not supposed to cry. But now in the event where your mother is dead, what else are we supposed to do? So unaona huyo mtu umenyamaza, ni mishipa tu ya damu, you are seeing the veins here forming. You are kidding yourself, and that is why statistically men die earlier than women. Because women have ways of venting out their emotions. Umeenda chama, mumeongea. Umeenda salon, mumeongea. This man is quiet, alone, not talking. If they have to talk about anything, watasema the high cost of living, maandamano, sijui nini. Politics. Politics. They may not really discuss what is really ailing them. So even as a man, mourn. We are not there to judge. Ati sijui unalia ni mwanaume. Yes, time, you know, we are not cry babies. We don't cry every other time. But when the situation demands that you cry. Please do. It helps.
Be vulnerable at that
time. Yes.
Okay. And what are the signs of someone who's grieving? Yeah,
there are things that we look at, especially when we are dealing with grief counseling. Grief counseling, and is actually very important. We tell our Kenyans, don't just wake up, bury your parent or your guardian or somebody close to you, and then on Monday umeraukia job. You've not healed. So you need to go through the whole process. Some of the things that we look at to know someone is mourning. Number one, this person has no energy. Lack of energy. You feel at a magoti, it cannot support your body. You feel you don't have energy to do anything. Two, lack of appetite. You feel like nothing excites you anymore. Hutaki kukula. Even your favorite meal, anymore. You don't want to eat. Other than that, some people will be the opposite. Increased appetite. Oh yeah, there are people when they are stressed. The stress hormone can either make you be on the extreme. You're eating too much, or you are depriving yourself. So someone can be eating like crazy. Umekula tu kukula and you're not feeling it. And other than that, there's a feeling of tightness in the chest, unasikia tu you are congested. You want to release emotions but you're not sure to who. You just feel like kuna mzigo in your chest, and then in your stomach there's some hollowness. You feel like your whole stomach is empty. This is a sign of anxiety. Okay. Yeah, when someone is anxious, sijui kama ushaienda kusema poem in at the regional levels and you're the one standing there and 1,000 people are looking at you. How are you feeling in your stomach? Butterflies in the stomach and everything. No, that is a sign of anxiety. Anxiety, first of all, is felt inside your stomach, in your belly. That is why some people will have some running stomach when they are very anxious. So anxiety sets in. This person is very, very anxious. You're not sure how to believe, how to behave anymore. You're not sure on the burial day what will happen, how will I behave, what, you are anxious. Other than that, we always say that this person is sensitive, highly sensitive to noise. Hataki kelele. Remember, you're dealing with someone whose emotions are upside down. So doesn't want noise, doesn't want TV, doesn't want radio or anything.
Just a calm environment.
Calm environment. Most of them will tend to sleep more. Sleeping has a way of, soothing you. You feel like it is ending your problems. But again, we'll tell you, in as much as coping strategies, getting quality sleep is good, too much of it is not good. It will now be damaging you. Okay. So while this person is mourning, you're able to look at these signs. You see that this person emotionally is just not balanced. You're not there. You have no mood. You tend not to talk to people. You feel like you want to keep to yourself. You're depressed, you're stressed, anger, at the slightest provocation, you feel angry because your whole system is not well. Those are some of the signs that this someone is grieving, this sign of the grief.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we get to the stages of grieving, because I also know that there are stages, are there types of grief?
Oh yeah, there are quite a number. We may not be able to go through all of them, but we can just highlight a few. There's one grief we call normal grief. Normal, just the normal one. We expect that you've received news so and so is dead, so and so has left us, and for purposes of this conversation, the medics and even the counselors, we don't sugarcoat information because you want to hammer information right into you. So we don't come telling you ametuacha. That could mean has gone to the supermarket, will be back, right? Yeah, so you have to use the right word. Your baby is dead. That's harsh as it sounds. The doctors will not come here telling you, oh, unfortunately, he has gone to be with the Lord. No, what if the Lord is Yeshua Tongaren? You believe he'll be there and back. So they have to use words that are harsh and that will, impact, that you will believe that sure enough, daktari alisema. So we have the normal grief. When you receive news, so and so is dead, you feel that sign of loss, you go through the mourning. That is just the normal grief. And after some time, you're done with the grieving. We have another grief we call chronic
grief,
meaning imeendelea kwa muda mrefu sana, like chronic illnesses. So this person has not been able to grieve the normal way. You've been grieving for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, okay. We do not have a specific amount of time.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, is there a specific period of grieving?
No, not really. We don't have specific amount of time that we allocate for grief. Why? Grief is so individualized, it's so personalized, right? For example, if you look at somebody, depending on the closeness between the person who has died and this person who is left. For example, it's a spouse, it's a child, it's a parent. This person might tend to grieve more, as opposed to you who is grieving your great cousin, for the line cousin there, hata huku unamjua vizuri. So people will tend to grieve more for closer relatives.
Okay.
Other than that, the cause of death, there are deaths that have really prepared you. For example, if someone has been in the hospital for quite some time, and every day you go to the hospital, we unamuona unashtuka unaona fulani ni kama atatuacha. In fact, when you see a call, you say like akisikue ni wao wananiambia hivyo. So it has somehow prepared you. It is not the same intensity with somebody who was hit by a car. Mtu alikuwa tu healthy, normal, alikuwa anaenda kazi zake, then was hit by an overspeeding car. and died on the spot, you might, you know, mourn more, because while this one, it prepared you. At least we call it anticipatory. We are coming to the third category, anticipatory grief. While one prepared you, the other one did not prepare you. So you might tend to mourn more. Think of even these people who have seen the parents or the children die in a very cruel way. You know, like for example, the person was murdered. Or in a very, yes, raped, murdered, you know, killed in a very brutal way. These people will mourn more. They feel like, oh my God, where was I? Why was I not able to save this child, this person, you feel? So they'll grieve more. As opposed to this other person, probably who was 105 years old, has lived and seen the generations and everything, and died peacefully. We come to celebrate life. True. Because we have felt like, sasa tumemwachilia. There's always that pain. There's always that kaugumu, mukiachana. But of course now, at 106 years, everybody says, now let her rest, let him rest. But now this death of somebody who just graduated and got his first job, so sad. It becomes very sad. So we say there's no more grief, there's chronic grief. Then we have that another one called the anticipated grief. This is somebody you're seeing deteriorating day by day. So every single morning you are anticipating naeza pigua simu. So psychologically you're prepared. That is anticipated. So these people do not grieve on the material day they are told he's dead or she's dead. They begin grieving much earlier. Every day munaenda unaona ako ICU. Every day unaenda unaona condition yake. Mara blood level, mara what. The blood pressure is misbehaving up and down. Wakati mwingine unaona daktari wamekimbia hapo. So it has prepared you way in advance. We call it as anticipatory grief. There are quite others. This complicated grief. Complicated grief. This is grief that you've not been able to overcome. We call it complicated. The moment you're going to come out of it, more emotion sets in. The moment you're going to, more emotion sets in. And many more. Because there is even this grief where you find that when you're about to finish, another grief comes in, sets in. Before you finished burying your father, then your mother died. While you're mourning your mother, the other sister died. So this has just piled. And this type of people, we recommend them to a grief therapist. Did you know there's a grief therapist?
No, I'm just hearing it.
Oh yes, there's a grief. When grief cannot be handled by the normal counselor, because now it has become complicated, we advocate that you go to a grief therapist. He will be able or she'll be able to walk with you through the journey with all the patience in this world. Because those people, they need patience. Enough of it. And for purposes of this conversation, we tell Kenyans, the much you can do to a grieving person, to a mourning person, is not necessarily advice. They don't need any of it. Hii advice ya kumwambia ati sasa ikifika hapo mtu anafanya hivi, vaa viatu, jifunge kama mwanamke. Don't give them advice. They don't. In fact, they are not listening. The much you can do is a listening ear.
Just let them talk and vent.
Allow them to vent, allow them to talk. When they break down, give them a handkerchief, listen to them. Sometimes you may not even have solutions, but you are there to listen. That's all they need. If they can repeat their stories to as many people as possible, it is their healing. They are healing as they are talking. Yes.
All right. There's this particular one. It's I think it's called disenfranchised grieving. The one that is not really acknowledged or not really taken as seriously as others. For instance, miscarriage. And that's a type of loss still.
I'll speak about that because I know I've dealt with quite a number of victims in it. Let us just put it this way. Loss is loss.
Doesn't matter.
And what is lost to you is not what is lost to me. If you lose 10,000, you might mourn. If another person loses 100 bob, they might you know, sweep the whole house looking for you 100 because ilikuwa fare yake. You get it? So loss is loss. This person, you've given an example of someone who has suffered miscarriage. In fact, those are the people, the society has not learned how to deal with them. Unfortunately. Picture this lady who goes to the hospital, has had a miscarriage, goes to the theater, they do the process, and then is admitted in the ward. Which ward? Maternity ward. Next bed is a lady who has given birth to twins, and the relatives are coming with a lot of unji, a lot of jahe, a lot of fruits and everything. They are there. they're celebrating this baby. Where is your baby?
Gone.
So how are you supposed to be feeling? A failure, you feel inadequate, you feel, you know, the world is crashing, you don't want even want to visit you in the hospital because that's a form of loss. So there are losses in the society that are not treated as loss, but indeed they are. The impact is the same. The process of mourning is the same. And if this person is not taken good care of, they might get to depression. When we are doing the stages of loss, that's one of the stages.
The next one, yes.
Yes.
So tell us the stages now.
The stages,
Yeah.
There was this American psychologist called Kubler-Ross. Kubler-Ross came up with the stages of loss and was able to analyze all the patients that came to him. They were going through the same stage. The first one, we call it denial. Denial. The moment you receive a phone call and you're told, so-and-so is dead, the first thing your ego will do is to deny.
Like,
you say
no way.
No. Haiwezekani. It can't happen. We just talked this morning.
It can't be
Tuliongea
him.
akiwa kwa traffic. It can't happen. I served them food yesterday night. It can't happen. So the first thing is to deny. You deny and deny and deny. It is a way the ego, we call them the ego defensive mechanism. It's a way the ego protects itself. So the first one is denial.
Okay.
The moment you deny and deny, or even, let's even talk about people with chronic illness. Someone comes and tells you, your parent or someone close to you has cancer. The first thing is to say no. No.
It can't
and
happen.
in fact, you even hate that hospital and you want to seek another opinion from a different medic, a different hospital and practitioner. Akwambie. So you will come to believe way later when you had it maybe the third or the fourth time. So denial is the first stage. Most people, when they receive the news of loss, they deny. After denial, which might take hours to several days, they realize hii kitu ni ya ukweli. Watu hata washaanza kukutana for burial preparation. Now you go to the second stage, anger. You deny, then you go to anger. Anger, you're very angry.
Angry.
You are angry at
yourself.
everyone. This is where this person, when I'm consoling someone, depending on the questions they are asking me, I'm able to assess what stage they are at.
Okay.
So if you meet this person who is telling you, but me, I know, where was God? Kwa nini Mungu hakuniambia?
So you know that person
God,
is in the second
what
stage.
What kind of sin had I done that you did not reveal to me that my so-and-so is dying? That person is in anger stage. They are angry at God for taking away their beloved one. Then they are angry at situations. They are angry at people. If it was a nurse who was maybe giving medication, why didn't you give enough medication? You know, they feel like you're the one who failed. They are angry at the ambulance, which maybe could have been driven faster to save the life. They are angry at everyone that was in the scenario.
Yeah.
So this is the stage blame comes in. When someone is angry. And we always tell people, while you can judge other people in their sober mind, do not judge any statement made by a mourning person.
Okay.
Because if, for example, Stephanie, you're married, and God forbid, so you're married and the husband dies, the mother-in-law, in the process of mourning, will accuse you. Huyu ndiye amekula mtoto wangu.
And it's something that usually happens.
It happens. It's very common in the society.
Yeah.
So this is something, wewe ndio unajua kile kimekula mtoto wangu. And you tried your best. Maybe it is only one day you are late to prepare a meal and maybe she gets to find out that you are late in preparing a meal. But atasema huyu ndiye amemuua na njaa. Are you getting it? So do not blame them. They are only trying, you know, when something happens, you're trying to ni nani atabeba hiyo blame?
It has to be on someone.
It has to be someone. It has to be someone who will carry the blame. So they'll accuse the doctors, the hospital, the ambulance, the what. They are angry. After anger, because and I always tell people, when you're going to console a person, preaching to them may not work. At that time,
it won't work.
It won't work. They are angry at God. They are not sure whether they want to hear anything else from that God. Who has really made them be bruised. So they may not even listen to your sermon because they have issues with this God you're preaching.
Yeah.
So after you're done with anger, you go to the third stage. We call it bargaining.
Okay.
Bargaining stage. And bargaining may start way earlier. For example, in anticipated grief, where you're seeing someone is deteriorating, the condition is being bad every day. While they're bargaining, they might come and say something like, Mungu, God, if you preserve so and so's life, I'll
do
serve you
this
forever.
Yeah.
This is when you give all the promises in this world. God, if you preserve this person, God, if only you bring us our baby back, I will do this and this and this. You know, you promise from here to Timbuktu and back, but you're only bargaining. You're only bargaining. But after your bargaining stage, all these stages I've told you, they are not long. They are
short periods.
Yeah, they are short periods. The longest period of them all is what we call depression.
Oh.
So you started with you started with denial, you came to anger, you bargained, you realize it's not working. So you come to what we call depression. And depression is the 4th stage, and it is the longest in mourning period. It can last even away from, depending on how well you supported, it can be 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay. And
but,
is it a stage that everyone has to go through?
Yes.
It's
everybody.
Okay.
As long as this person, you know, when you're talking about mourning, like for example, right here, you hear somebody dying in Shakahola. Probably because you don't know them, you have not mourned them. But the people who are in the immediate, you know, the immediate family, relatives, neighbors and friends, they mourn. They have to go through this stage. You get it, eh? And so, while you are at depression, this is now when the height comes. I started by saying, even biblically, people used to mourn for 40 days, according to the Holy Scriptures. Eh? Okay. But now, that does not mean that that is all. That is what they recorded, maybe in the law of Moses or something like that. There are people who will mourn for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. 1 year down the line, they are still mourning. But now I always tell people, depending on your support system, because if you are well supported, you will outgrow depression quicker than somebody with no support. All right? And I have also seen somebody, this is a stage that can destroy you actually. It is very, very essential. If you do not mourn the right way, you realize that these people, I have seen a case whereby a young man lost a brother, a twin brother, and you know the way our culture is, jikaze kimwanaume. So I'm talking about not just a brother, a twin. Twin.
Someone you're
twin brother.
With.
Yani mulilala naye kwa tumbo moja at the same time mkatoka wakati moja. So you people, you are intertwined like this. And the child dies, the boy dies, and they're in high school. This boy did not, the remaining twin did not get the right support. And because of that, he deteriorated his grades and his everything. Not only did they lose him, because now where he is, I don't know, we call it psychotic or narcosis, but he is nikama amechizi out of his own way. Yes. He was not able to console himself, compose himself back to life. He did not move on. So that guy is seen, analala kwa mtaro, anarokota karatasi, and everything.
So it can be that bad.
Somebody was healthy, but did not get the right support system. You get it, eh? So while you're at depression, one of the things you feel is emptiness. Very empty. A hollowness in your stomach. You have no good reason to wake up the following morning. You have no proper reason why you would want to wake up and go to work. Why? Work for who? While you're at depression stage, life? Yes, while you're at depression stage, you realize that life is meaningless. Vanity of vanity. You realize that I was supposed to, you know, these people do like this. They wake up. Maybe if it's a husband who has died, they prepare the water, the shower and everything. They put the suit there, they iron, they put the shoes there. And then they realize, he's not there. Imefika saa saba, maji iko tu pale, breakfast iko tu pale. Then they cry themselves out. Are you realizing? So they are now feeling the impact, the emptiness. And this is where I tell people, part of coping strategies, do not be very quick to make a major move. Major move, like for example, you want to now fit in the shoes of this person. I know of people whose their mother died in 2016, and it is this year 2023 that they have managed to go and put their mother's items together, the clothes, and donate them. Nobody was ready to go and open that wardrobe. How do you take your clothes immediately? Are you getting it? So be patient with yourself while you're mourning. So at this stage of mourning, you feel empty. You feel, you know, you're depressed. There's no hope. You feel hopeless. You don't feel like you have the energy to do anything. Not to eat, not to watch movie, not to go out. You don't want friends. you want to keep to yourself. Now, this is a very dangerous stage.
And on that, for someone who has a child, let's say you've lost the breadwinner, that's the man of the home.
Yes.
You yourself as a mom, you're going through depression, and then there's a kid there. So how do you even let the kid go through the grief process? Should they be told the truth? Because some, you know, in the African setup, or some, we are men, like, you know, you don't tell the kid your dad is no more, he's never coming again. So how do you handle such a situation?
Very important, and thank you for that question. Let the child be part of this mourning process. Let them know. Just the way we engage our children, the moment you have a new member in the family, you let them be part of it. They own that they have a small brother or a small sister, a new baby at home. You let them own that process so that they don't feel their rights are, you know,
being infringed.
Yeah, they're being infringed as the acting last born. Yeah, you let them own the whole process so that they can love the baby. Let them own the whole process of mourning.
Okay.
It is okay to cry and tell them, I'm crying because so and so left us. Let them mourn. Otherwise, they will come to hate you way later, or you will realize it in class as their performance is deteriorating because you did not even allow them. They also have as many questions as you have. You know, there's no much difference between an adult and a child. Maybe the brain capacity.
Okay.
But they have the same emotions. They are mourning, they are feeling they're not seeing their daddy or their mother. So allow them to be process of the mourning. It is going to view the body, let them view the body. It is going for that process where people come for devotion, for prayers and everything. Let them be there. It is doing an eulogy, involve them. They are writing what they're going to read there. Allow them to be part of it. Let them mourn so that as you are healing, they are also healing.
Okay.
Otherwise, you might pretend that you want to protect them. While you heal, they start theirs.
Okay.
And so you will never come out of that grief.
All right.
Yes.
Now, all this process, before we get us to the coping mechanism for us to finish.
And by the way, after you're done with the depression, you will now go to the last stage.
Which is?
We call it acceptance. So anyone who has undergone depression successively, irrespective of the amount of time you've taken, you go to acceptance. Acceptance is where you feel like my husband was a pastor, now he was running a church, the congregation is there, I'm now the incoming pastor. You fit in the shoes. He was an MD in a certain company, now I'm the new MD. He was the CEO of this, he was running this business, I'm now the new person in this business. So you move on. You agree now that he has gone and he's not coming back to us. Now life has to continue. That is acceptance. But if there are people who will be stuck at depression stage, and that is it. Yeah. So if you get help, you will move to acceptance stage.
Okay. And I want to ask about the mourning process, all the stages.
Yes.
I know some come earlier, but does most of it come after you've buried your loved one? Because I know before you bury the loved one, there's a lot of support that people get. People visiting every evening, there's tea, there's people in the house, it's full. And then after the burial, you're usually alone, back to normal, you know, and I think reality sets in. So is it worse after?
Yeah, it becomes worse after. During this time, okay, denial will come the moment you realize you've been given the news, you're bargaining and you're everything, but reality hits you after. Unaona pale watu wamerusha mchanga. And then after that, you know, we are Kenyans, and we do everything in haste. So tumemaliza kurusha mchanga, we are very hungry, we are looking for food. Watu wa Nairobi, chakula yenu iko hapa, sijui nini kwa ile tent. Mkimaliza hivyo mko kwa magari,
mnaenda
out.
So
by the end of the day, people start living one after the other. Watu wa Nairobi wote wanaondoka, auntie sijui wa Murang'a ameenda, sijui shangazi wa wapi, mjomba na watoto wake wameenda. By the end of the day, now you are left alone to synthesize that information. You come out of your house, you see a fresh grave outside there. That is when the reality sinks. So depression and these stages, most of them will come way after. That is when the weight of the matter is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how does one cope?
Coping strategies. Yes. And actually this is very important so that we are able to tell people, even those people who are called to identify their bodies, and you know, it's very sad. It's very sad. Very sad. I always imagine, you can never tell somebody that I understand. You can never understand somebody's pain. You can't. You can only imagine. So I try to imagine their pain. You called to identify your loved one. There is not a very good sight. Now, one of the coping strategies that we tell people is, number one, agree to mourn. Agree to mourn. take it and believe it that it has happened and we are going to mourn it. That is one strategy. Agree that it has happened. Then, number 2, we always tell people, be part of a support group. Support means it could be your family, you could be coming together, you hold devotion, you pray as you eulogize and remember the departed person. So as part of a family, be part of a support group. By support group, I mean like you've always had kuna wajane, the women who are widows, they come together, they have an organization. Then you can also be part of a support group whereby you join other people who are also similarly having similar experiences.
Okay.
And believe me, Stephanie, the moment you listen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people's experiences, you realize that yours was better. For every bad case, there is a worse one. So you realize that yours died and was buried, and that was it. Uyu alikufa. On top of Kufa, he was maybe probably HIV, so the wife was left with it or the husband was left with it, so he's been left with the condition and also some children to nurse. All right? So this one died and left a court case. Are you getting it? So the moment you analyze several cases, you realize you are better off. And it helps you soothing your ego and in healing process. I always tell people, other than support group, it is good that you program yourself in a way that you can do a journal. Write a journal. Write your feelings. Record what you're feeling that day towards that person. Record the beautiful memories you had with this person. Like maybe one time he took us to the beach, another time she maybe paid for a flight to where, you know, there are beautiful memories we had with the departed. Write them down. It's part of healing. It's part of healing. If you have his pictures with you and you are okay, I'm using the word if you are okay, because most people are not okay. They don't even want to see that photo. If you can keep an album of the beautiful places we visited together, the better. It's part of, you know, healing and accepting that he is gone. Occasionally, maybe at the end of every year, you can do an anniversary. But again, you have to be prepared. Anniversary might trigger some emotions that you had. So that is the time you need enough support, enough support out of it. And of course, we tell people, above every other thing, there are many other things that you can do, because part of it is taking care of yourself. In fact, it should come as number 1.
To make sure you
take care of yourself. Eat well. Eat a balanced diet. Make sure you're feeding well, because if you don't feed well, illnesses comes in. I always tell people that dealing with grief or mourning batters your immune system. I don't know whether you knew that there is a syndrome we call heartbreak syndrome.
No.
It's a syndrome that comes to people who are mourning, dealing with loss. It has similar characteristics and similar symptoms like a heart attack. So this person, the characteristic you would see in a heart attack are with this person, because they are mourning. So allow your body to heal. Eat well, sleep well. You know, do exercises if you are able, just the simple ones. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. And if you're not now able to cope with all this, see a counselor. See a therapist. Let them walk you through that journey. Be part of a devotion. Be praying for the person, for everything, for your inner healing. You know, being part of doing devotion helps in inner healing.
Amazing. Finally, for the people that, you know, sometimes it's hard to know how to handle someone dealing with grief, and you've alluded to it several times, Ali, but maybe you can, you know, put some more emphasis on it. What should someone do when you have someone grieving? Could be a friend, could be, you know, anyone.
Thank you. And it is very important that people may know, because there are people who don't know how to treat somebody. Unamwangalia tu hivi, unamsaidia kulia.
Clueless, unashangaa utamshika.
You don't know, so you join the person in crying. I'm not saying it is bad, but we expect that you're the stronger person. There are scenarios that will allow you to join in crying anyway, because of where you find yourself. But now, part of what you'll do as number one, be listening. Be a listener, and a good listener. Listen to this person. Let them pour themselves to you. Let them even tell you, sasa ameenda na ndiye alikuwa anatuletea sijui nini, ndiye alikuwa anatulipia school fees, ndiye alikuwa anatufanyia nini. All these are their fears. So listen to them. They need somebody to listen to that. And as you're listening, do not be judgmental. ati we mama fulani na we umelia sana, si wache apumzike. No, allow the person to mourn and mourn her way. So be a very good listener. The other thing you can do is offer to do these duties this person is doing. For example, you come to this person who is mourning and you realize that huyu hata chai hajakunywa. Offer to go to the kitchen, prepare something for this person, sit the person there and drink together. Assist. Mwingine utamkuta ako kwa bed throughout, ingia hata hiyo bedroom, ongea na yeye akiwa hapo, try to find out, you know, the way you would care for a patient is the way you would care for this person. Have you eaten? No. In fact, feed the person kama anakata, because I have just told you, loss deals with your immune system. It brings it down there. And when the immune system is down, definitely these other, you know, funny diseases will crop in. So before, we don't want to deal with the mourning and then with hospitalization at the same time. So help this person be themselves. Help them clean up, tidy up the house. They are experiencing lots of visitors. Help them in, you know, taking care of the guests. You can be sure kama munangojea huyo mama ama huyo mzee ama hawa watoto ndio watapika and they are mourning, you stay hungry. So offer help. And I thank God because religious organization, they comes in handy, wanasaidia siku za maombolezi and such. And even way after, usiachia hapo ya mumemuzika mumeenda, mahali mumemwachia ndio delicate, go and visit this person as regularly as you can.
All right, there's a question my co-host had asked and I want to ask that before we close. Finally, why does it come years later, grief? You think you had healed and then one day you just wake up and you feel terrible?
I will say this. We began by saying, depending on the cause of grief, I mean the cause of death, and the relationship between the person who died and the person who is alive, depending on the relationship you had, grief intensity will either be high or low. So if you did not go through proper steps of mourning, you might think you dealt with that problem, only to come and realize that way later it resurfaces. So that is why we advise that go through the proper steps of mourning. For example, let's say maybe you had a court case that was to be had next year, July, but the person who was dealing with it has died now. Be sure that time ikifika lazima utakuwa, your emotions will be up and down. This was the only witness we had, now he is gone. So again you will. So depending on the relationship, the stages, the way you are helped to cope with that person, ukubali kabisa alienda na harudi. And now sisi ndio, Kenyans say sisi ndio tuko. So ukubali wewe ndio uko. If you are not properly helped, it will always resurface. You even hear people saying, mimi ninakaa ninaota na yeye, and tunataka kukemea mapepo sijui nini, the religious way may not necessarily be that.
It's just
it could be that your subconscious really, you know, subconscious can, you know, make your dreams up. So you're really thinking so much about this person until this person appears in your dreams.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Zipporah. I don't know if you have a final say as you give out your social media handles. For
all right. So my final say is that grief is normal. Allow yourself to grieve and grieve the right way. Be patient with yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't even wonder, why can't I move on even after it is a month also. Be very easy on yourself. And if you're not able to do it, please see a therapist. We are going to help you. So my social media, at Twitter, I'm Wanyeki1Zipporah, Facebook, Zippy Wanyeki, and YouTube, Zipporah Wanyeki.
All right. Thank you very much, Zipporah. Always a pleasure to have you share such amazing insights.
Thank you.
All right. That has been Zipporah Wanyeki, a counselor, speaking to us about dealing or coping with grief. I hope you've taken something from it. Now we're going to take a short break and then we'll be right back with entrepreneurship. All right. See you on the other side.